I forgot I even had this.
Huh?
I forgot I even had this.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh God. All right. So the deal with God existing or not. Okay, so obviously the textbook says Buddhism, we reject the notion of a God, a one man creator, the creation. And then when asked, well, how did the universe get started? Buddhism asserts that, well, there are causes and conditions. Upon a cause and condition, it'll just stretch back forever. You know how where hydrogen and oxygen got started, and
Mm.
water and life in water and blah blah blah. Like, why would you sit there and think about that far, whether or not these started? It's just like, what? It's just like me asking you, where did your wonderful beautiful pants originated from? Well, clearly it
God.
says made in India or Pakistan or China or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, no, let's analyze your pants for a second, or your hoodie or for a second, or your shirt for a second. It's
Yeah.
like, well, we got the thread in India, but the workers are in China. And then the machines are made in Japan. And then they all had come together, and you just, where did the cotton come from again?
Yeah.
So you start tracing. If you
Yeah.
were to trace it backwards investigatively, um, eventually you will get to the root cause, the root of it. But it is such a headache. The Buddha assert that, listen, dude, let me ask you this. Are you suffering right now? Are you having disturbing emotions right now? And if you do, well, we need to address that first. And once your suffering is taken care of, okay, now let's figure out where the universe got started, right? Which to me, I'm like, oh great, you hit it right on the spot,
Yeah.
my Lord Buddha. Now let's talk about God and my position when it comes to God. I was originally Catholic. There were times in dark days in my life. That's all I knew when I was not introduced to Buddhism, or I didn't was not knowledgeable enough in Buddhism. So therefore, and my cousin is everyone in my family is still Catholic, except my mom, me, dad. Dad don't believe in the monastic order. He says, I believe in God, I believe in Buddha, but I don't believe in holy men in holy robes, because he thinks that holy men in holy robes misuse their robes, for money. So I have to live a higher standards to prove him wrong,
Mhm.
which I already have. I'm doing it. I don't quite fairly don't. Whatever, that's your opinion. He
Yeah,
has
but
his own
it's
opinion.
pushed you to become who you are now and what you've done. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I mean, it's like I have like layers of like security to
mhm.
pass through the checkmark list of pre-saint myself, sainthood myself, because of the critics in the family.
Mhm.
Okay, so back on point. So in my darkest days of my life, I prayed. It's what you're supposed to do in the Christianity world. Pray, dear God, I don't understand why my life sucks. Can you please do something about it? Dear God, what the hell's going on? Why are people dying? Why are good people? Why do bad things happen to good people? It gives us hope. It buys us time. It keeps us from jumping off the bridge.
Mhm.
Buddhism assert, well, why don't you pray a little less and start focusing on what you can do, by and through your own human effort, and not just sit there and pray all day, every day, because most of those prayers probably not going to get answered. My position as a spiritual leader is that, and truly, I mean, I'm not a scholar, so I'm not going to sit here and spend the rest of my life debating who's actually existed and who actually did not exist. It's pointless. It's just like it's so pointless. Some things in life are just pointless. And so therefore I would say, look, all the gods are wonderful. You should live your life as if they do exist, have existed, is still existing now. And then the next challenge I have for humanity is, if you were to die in the next 30 seconds, are you ready and prepared to answer to these people, to these gods, the congregation of gods, the jury of gods? And how would they judge you? How would the Buddha look at you? What are you going to tell the Buddha when you killed that guy? How are you going to justify that to Jesus? What you did to your neighbor? And then, of course, Jesus left the 10 commandments. The Buddha left the 10 precepts, and other religions have, don't eat pork, meat, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
It's just like, well, how, you have to, and a smart, intelligent person would understand the why we have to keep the holy Sabbath day, why you should love your neighbors the way that you want to be loved, to never tired of asking for forgiveness and to forgive others. Like an intelligent person, that's why an intelligent person is more likely to achieve enlightenment than a person who incomparable to their counterparts.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because they're
Yeah.
like, I get it. I understand why I should not steal.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So as as who I am, and I stand by my teachings, my own policy. No one told me I have to teach a certain way. I can teach whatever the hell I want. I say whatever the hell I like, holding the tremendous amount of power that I have, the influence that I have. And at this current time, damn it, pretend like they all exist and be good, damn it, and you will go to heaven. Why is that so difficult to be good? You know? So I have find and for myself, I have found that I'm very much at peace. And what the robes mean, you asked about the robes. It's much more than the color is much more than it literally means to me the color of liberation, the true color of not coming back in this lifetime. An arahant doesn't come back anymore. And damn it, I don't want to come back anymore. You know?
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, oh, who did I say? I've never shared this with anyone, but so when my mom had me, she wanted to change my name, and she said these angels came into her dream and said, "No, no, 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 leave the boy alone. You leave it just the way it is." I have taken that into consideration of a noble birth. Never once in my life I thought I was going to be a monk. At all the professions that I wanted to do, hell no. My dad was, I couldn't even sit still. My dad's like, "Do you have needles underneath your ass? Because you seem like you can never sit still." And for the fact that I could sit as long as I have, and even before blowing up on TikTok, I sat a long time meditating and just enjoying it by myself right out here at the lake.
Yeah.
And oh, I'm getting really old recalling my memory. Um so the noble birth. So I took those, so we call them celestial beings or the deva, the demigods,
Mhm.
that came to my mom's dreams and spoke to her and instructed her not to do something. So I take it as at this point in my life that the universe chose me to do this for a reason, and I need to continue it for a reason for whatever time that they want. And the workings of karma creates the causes and conditions for me to do this. You know, everything from the funding that's needed to do this to my good health to do this.
Mhm.
Because technically, if karma wanted to yank me right now, karma can say stroke, and I would just like suffer a stroke right now and never teach again, or blind right now and be like, "Where's Stan? Hello, Stan, help me." So I took it as, so I was blessed with a noble birth, but then I'm like, what? Why that woman? No, why is that woman giving me such a hard time? Like this is one test. If I had to speak to the Buddha directly and the demigods and the devas and the celestial beings, I'd be like, y'all want me to be here. Y'all had a plan for me. But what the hell was this? Because this was not pretty. And because of that, propelled me a true conviction that enlightenment is a possibility and a necessary achievement. If you take your suffering seriously, you would take enlightenment dead seriously, like I do. And for the you have to
You
think.
get infatuated with it.
Well, you have to think that I was a CEO. There's no question in regards to my talent in any profession that I have held. I mean, like, I was very good at everything that I've done, and I could go back to it at any time. But yet, I hung on to this monastic life for a very long time to crack the code. And I've cracked the code. And like I said in my last talk Sunday, enlightenment is not all that mysterious and difficult. Damn it, you know, crack the darn code, and you can experience it your darn self.
It almost seems like people tend to overthink it sometimes. It's simpler than people think, and I think they try to think about it too much, and they just lose sight of the path.
Yeah. So though, and then like everything when I'm giving my Sunday service, it's a very the Sunday services are very profound. They're the magnet, just how deep, how good it is, how useful it is if a person would just pay close attention to every words I'm saying on a Sunday service. In the textbook says a part-time monk can utter one sentence and you can in fact become an arahant based on one sentence if you catch it right and fully understood the depth of that. Just like how you like philosophy and quotes. You see how enlightened you are when you read certain quotes? It just dings in your head. You're like, oh, damn. I have been missing the point all my life until I read this.
Kind of forces you to slow down in
Right,
this fast world.
right. So, um, um,
Textbook.
the Sunday service
Mhm.
to me when I'm sitting there, when I'm reflecting and everything like that, um, my teacher that I told you about, Venerable Dukman, like we're so on the same page. And I know when the time is right, me and him will sit down together. When the time is right, I know it. And we're gonna look at each other and it's gonna be, let's go there. And we're so well trained together, back and forth, that we're just gonna bliss out. And at the moment of death, I'm telling you, he still think that he has additional karmic rebirths. He's told me, and I'm just surprised. He's like, "Oh, I just want to come back in a better family, in a better situation, a better circumstance." And I'm in my head, I'm like, no, 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 no. You need to get that out of your head. You're not gonna come back because I am not coming back. I am not coming back, no matter what
You
I have
go,
to get.
then I'm gonna have to go. God, you're not coming back.
Yeah, what I mean, he told me this like 2 weeks ago, and what would make you think you were gonna come back? It's like, how? Come on now, get it together now. And I'm like, stop. I'm like, I am not. I cannot come back. But I also need to prepare myself in the event. Yes, I do need to come back, or I have to come back. Just the workings of karma is very mysterious. I can give everything away my whole entire life and still come back. Um. So again, that's what people call it. God's plan, whatever, universe's plan, karmic plan, whatever. I just you know, but it's a very comforting look. Even if none of this is real, let's say the Buddha ain't real. Let's say the teaching of the Buddha was somebody made it up. It's very comforting. It's so comforting to hold on to and sleep at night. It's comforting to just lay in these robes and just realize that one day I might become a saint, or I'm enlightened, or nirvana, nibbana, whatever. Who cares? It matters to it. I care. It's comforting for me, no matter if it comforts other people. Like the Buddha have already said, no one can save you. No one can, no one may. Well, I'm saving my damn self every night. I think about nirvana every night. I'm blissing out. When I'm sitting, there is no more disturbing emotions. And there's a record of that. It's just like, really, all the claims that the Venerable Chi Dao have said, do we have proof of that? Yeah, go ahead. Go back 5 years ago. Go analyze every teachings I've given. Just look at how I meditate. Just look at me. Look at the timing that I'm sitting there on the beach. Look at the timing underneath that tree. You think I'm faking this? Well, I must be one good faker to sit that long to sit that long as this talented young man that can make a lot of money out there.
Sign him for a movie.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't make this stuff. And that's what all of my teachings, like 99%, is all live. Because I want everyone to measure it. Whoever has a science degree out there, will measure the darn teacher, will you? If you had doubts, measure the darn. Y'all know how to measure the scientific method. Use it. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just, my job is to be me, and to be honest about it, and keep it real. You know. I don't know how other people teach. I'm me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back to the God and religion thing, is like, the problem is that when people lack the deep understanding of the benefits of choosing a religion. So what does religion mean? Religion means, yeah, there's rituals and practices in this particular religion, but you have to ask yourself, why the ritual and practices? Why is it important to me and other people? What, does it keep us from hurting ourselves and other people? And people totally miss the point of that.
Yeah, it's just something to have, and kind of like earlier on the call and everything. It's people need to have something to look forward to. People need to have hope in something. And I heard this one talk, and it was a guy who was like talking about how people will go crazy and start losing their minds when there's no visible end in sight to something or whatever it is. But when they know there's an end, when it like let's say the pandemic,
Hmm.
when there's no foreseeable end, people start going crazy, start looting, killing, stealing. But if you were to say, "Oh yeah, this will be over in 2 weeks," people are like, "Okay, well we can deal with that. We can handle that. We have this. We have this." But when there's no foreseeable end in the future, chaos reigns, and faith is really just something to hold on to, look forward to, and when there's nothing else.
Let me answer this question for a second. Someone just wrote to me live on YouTube
Okay.
about, may I ask a question about how we can improve consistency and discipline? Okay, how you can improve. Write it down, look at the details of your day, stop making excuses, stop siding with the lawyer in your head. And discipline equals destiny. So if you don't discipline yourself, you're going to become homeless very quickly, or everyone's going to drop you as a friend. Yeah, things are not going to be good. What's good always going to be good, and what's bad is going to be bad. So,
Discipline, you have to do it on your own. You cannot expect somebody else to discipline you because when they're gone, the discipline is gone.
hmm,
And you can't go into it full speed ahead. You got to take it as small bits and pieces, and write down small goals, midterm goals, long term goals. You can't just immediately want to be, I want to be fully disciplined about this. Do little things at first, take little steps, and those small accomplishments. The feeling that you will get from them is nirvana. It's unexplainable. I mean, when you do something to completion, accomplish it, and accomplish it well, it makes you feel nirvana. And I mean, discipline is just people try and tackle it too quickly, and they end up just stopping because they feel overwhelmed
okay. What were you saying earlier
about
before I answer this question?
the call. Or no, I finished that. Oh, do you believe in God?
No, yeah. Oh, I was going to touch up on karma. So I study extensively karma. I measure people. When people tell me, "Oh yeah, my life sucks and I'm disabled and I have this disease, that disease, I'm this and I'm that." The first thing in my head, and I scan for is, do you practice Buddhism? In my head, it's a no. Number two, have you given more in your life, take less? No. Have you practiced the Noble Eightfold Path? Right speech, right livelihood, right action, right mindfulness, right effort? No. Well, if you don't do all these things the Buddha have done told you to do, well, no crap that these things have done happen to you. You asked for it. You know? The teaching's been around 2,566 years old. People failed to heed the advice of the wise. I'm giving you evidence that I have found for myself as to the actual workings of karma, and how it's real, and how it's connected to the teachings of the Buddha, and how and why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. And even as I'm doing the things that I'm doing, the merits that I have received, the good currency of karma, the karmic currency, that's what I call it, in my little bank, in my little karmic bank. Now, I'm still not convinced that I will be exempt from how I die, when I die, where I die. Death gives you wise fear, especially the how. You think about the many ways of how people die. So today I learned, I was with a patient, 80-year-old patient.
Mm.
80-year-old patient says, "Yeah, my husband. Yeah, he died a couple days ago, but I know the guy. He's like 90 something years old. He was a soldier.
Mhm.
He pretty much he was not a very kind man, and so karma has that out for him. And you know what karma done did to him? Karma done um karma made him left him paralyzed on a bed for the past 3 years, 3 years, bedbound, eat, poop, sleep, one position, one spot, heavy, tall, almost 200 pounds, I don't know, 175 pounds, whatever, difficult to move. And then finally gasped for air at the moment, just before going into the hospital. He was, it's funny, hospice, empath people, that's how they know a person's going to die, and start alerting the purple team, start alerting everyone. It's like, okay, you need to come down here because he or she is going to die very soon. Imminent death is around the corner based on the breathing. The way how this guy ride out, oh damn, oh damn. From a monk standpoint, it's an oh damn. It's because it's not a peaceful way to go out. The fact that you're being suffocated like that, that's a fish with no water. That's very pivotal. Like the moment of death, Buddha have already done said, at the moment of death, you need to let everything go. If you can do it at the moment of death before you die, you will become a saint right there and then. So just that last breath. And if you can't let go, you're sure to take rebirth. But again, I study how people die, and then reflect on the life that they have lived. And it has been well founded that the way how they live determines the way how they die. And I'm just like, oh shoot,
My grandma
that
had
cannot be me.
my grandma had very good karma then.
Yeah.
She went very peacefully. At least I hope so, because obviously nobody's there watching her. But she passed in her own home, and she went to bed, and she never woke up again.
And the way how my grandmother went, ooh, ooh. But then I traced it. She's the one who got me into Buddhism. She changed, yes, indeed, but it wasn't good enough for karma. It wasn't good enough for karma. And so but then after she died, I traced back what she done did in her younger years. Angry woman, ego, very angry, very controlling, very mean to her siblings. And then she tried to change. She spent 50 years changing. That wasn't good enough for karma. And karma done did her wrong. And then she took rebirth, and I had reason to believe that she rebirthed into a lizard that night. Truth be, and a lot of people think I'm crazy when I said that. Mind you, if I didn't have the social media influence that I had, people would really think I'm like, okay, all right, he probably just done smoke weed. But like, yeah. So she died in Northside Hospital that night. I come home, and there's a lizard on the couch. There's never a lizard on the couch. Where the hell does lizard come from? So like, at the time, I was holding this position in my job of carrying a gun. So there's a gun on my hip, and I'm like, let me done try you. So I pull up this gun on this lizard and point it right at its face, like the barrel right at its face. And the lizard just looked at my gun and was just like, and I'm like, oh, that's grandma. I'm like, oh, my bad, grandma. Let me holster my gun for a second here. And I realized that was her because she knows that my mom is afraid of lizards. But, but, but at the moment of death, she also had attachment to me. She made it very clear. She says, I don't want to leave you or your mom. Why would you say that? Your vitals fine. There's nothing wrong with your vitals. Why would you say that? And then she went. That was proof of attachment before she went. The Buddha says you have attachment, you will take unfavorable rebirth. The animal realm is unfavorable. She became a lizard. Then, like during the night, like my dad's lights like flicker inside the room. And I'm like, oh, damn, she's here. So then the lizard went away, somehow magically disappeared. And then I have reason to believe that she probably rebirthed into a ghost. She probably rebirthed multiple times that night, just scaring the crap out of us. And then I swear to God, in the next morning, she like went by the window as a ghost. Like I'm like, what in the gay hell just happened?
Yeah.
That's not pretty. So if you just pretend like you're my grandmother, like missing home, wanting to manifest, show that I'm here and I miss y'all and stuff like that, and then took rebirth again and as a ghost, just trying to wave, saying that I'm still here. Oh, that's rough. Oh shoot, that's rough. I mean, I just study a lot of death. I studied like everything about people, and I'm just like, dude, I'm done. I literally can't with y'all. I can't with this lifetime. Like that's enough evidence already to convince me for the sainthood, the path, the trajectory, the direct straight path to it. And I know, and I'm telling you, there's moments in my life, and I'm just like, this sucks. I'm like, where's the cocaine? Where's the drugs? And no, I'm not gonna keep the precept anymore. I'm just gonna go out and wild out and like try to catch STDs or whatever. But I know when I'm like, you do that, the endless cycle will come back, and you will never win. And that's why I don't do it. What keeps me from going to Ebor right now? Nothing. This nothing. What senior teachers are watching? Nothing. I can disrobe right now and just go and get strippers and prostitutes all day, every day, right? But we know what's gonna happen next. He told us, and just wait for it. And the Buddha says, "You don't believe me? Try it. Have at it." So I hopefully that gives you a consideration about how this teaching is different than any other's teaching. The fact that it is scientific, and you yourself is the scientist. You yourself can try it out. You yourself make the observations, the smart person that you are. You were drawn to me because of intelligence and wisdom. If I'm dumb and slow, you would be like, the hell? This dude's wasting my time.
Not even just intelligence and wisdom. I mean, it runs a lot deeper than that. But I mean, those are two very good points. But yeah, I mean, and just because, I don't know, I just want to just help people, and kind of like you said, how you've been, since you were born, you've been gifted with kind of a blessing and a curse, because God gives his hardest battles to his toughest warriors for a reason, and only certain people, so that they can have the strength to go and help other people. And because my whole entire life, I've always known that there just was something off about me, not in a bad way, but that I've literally said that to myself when I was holding a 380, looking at it with one in the chamber, sitting in a room just like this, because I had access to all of her guns. Because remember the lady I told you I was staying with, she was ex-Air Force, segregation prison, so she had firearms, and I knew where they were. And I was holding it, looking at it, texting my buddy, saying like, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. And I know that I probably will never have the strength to do it because it's a weak way out. And I know that I'm stronger than that, and that I'm here for a reason, and I can't leave this planet yet because I haven't done whatever it was I was put here to do. But I've always known that there's, and I've kind of just been searching for it my whole life. But like, it's like I've known that I've been given these hardships and these crappy things for a reason, and the small amount of people that I've been able to help throughout my lifetime, and anybody with problems going on or anything bad going on in their life, go and help somebody. Genuinely help somebody that needs help with whatever it is. And when you complete that task and you see how it makes them feel, it makes you feel unexplainable, and you just want to do it more and more. And I mean, the same can go for hurting people though too, depending on how your views are. You can hurt somebody and that can make you feel all this ecstasy of emotions, and it makes you want to keep doing that more. But there's got to be both sides. There has to be balance. I mean, and it just depends on which road you want to go.
Well, hopefully, all y'all. I mean, I can only inspire people. At this point, I'm just exhausted, and I can just only inspire by and through my own change. It's a constant calibration of my projects and stuff like that. I've done the great work that needed to be done. I did it. It's done. Wishes fulfilled. Intentional, unintentional. It's done. It's done now. I got the good opportunity to give as much as I could. Left a whole library of teachings. So much, It's like, yeah, it's good. You can retire now. And all I can, the blessed are the students that can see that. Blessed are the students who live. Hold on, where was that book again? The Disciples of the Buddha. There was a book that I wanted to order on here, and it was from the Disciples of the Buddha. But basically, they live, teach, and legacy. Life, work, and the legacy that you will leave behind. And damn it, just do it. It's a great feeling to be in the pool of people that contributed to well-being. And I you're new to me, so therefore I'm still assessing and evaluating you moment to moment, day by day. And I would hope that that is a true and noble ambition, and not just hollow words without meaning and purpose.
Oh, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because my whole entire life I've hated words, because anybody can say words, but with no action to back them up and no accountability and responsibility, words mean absolutely nothing. They're hollow, like you just said.
And
go ahead.
And like there again, during the Sunday service, I said the teacher's looking for actions. As always, everybody is.
And I remember you saying that, and I like that, because it's true. Or responsibility for the actions that you have taken, and owning it.
That money is hard to come by. And we all know this past month and last month, I've just like trying to push these t-shirt programs to raise money, to inspire and to keep the program going the way but it has. Noticed that when we're out and about, not with just Steven, with you, with other students and stuff like that, I don't want them to pay, even though they have it. Why? Because I have to walk the talk. But my whole life has been exemplifying giving more and taking less. That's one of the hardest thing ever to do, is to give.
It is.
And it is so, and you know what? That's how I know across the world, from when I'm struggling, I talk about it, and then instantly you see donations coming in, and the intentions behind the donations when they wrote $5 donation. I don't care the amount, but those are the rare few. I was at the hospital today. Again, I took the patient down to the hospital, and I went into the hospital, and I went over to the wall of generosity, the wall of people who've donated to the hospital for programs. And I was just so disappointed at how small that wall was. comparable to the 8 billion people on this freaking planet.
Mhm.
I'm I just wanted to like just die in that moment. I just looked at the wall and I'm just like, really? And it's the same wall that I have for all of my donors. Then I've actually canonized all of them as Buddhist angels, just because the rare the few. You think 1.3 million people give a lot of money to me? I've been a monk for 8 years. I've netted 8,000, less than $8,000 in donation. That's a 1,000 a year, comparable to full-time interpreter, which is 80,000 to $100,000 a year. That's what I gave up to be a monk over the past 8 years. You don't see my car being Mercedes. So anyways, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, oh, look at the hospital's wall and look at the wall of Qidao. The wall of Qidao is the same as the hospital's wall. It's small. It's small. And the list is like literally like the list is like here to here of names. And I'm just like, what a sad world we live in.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was literally about to say. And it's sad that there's very few people who are genuinely want to help other people and better the world. And it's
Oh, you know what? You know what gets me? I go out of the beach, the same beach that I took Eric out today. I'm like, Eric, this is where I go and I sit meditate over the past couple of years. People come up to me, they ask me questions. I get somebody out there. Okay, and I do the one-on-one counseling session. Love it. It's like, who are you really actually fooling? Sit there and they're like, I would give the shirt off my back for anybody. I On and on. Sit there and brag about. Yeah, I have $500,000 in the bank. Thank you so much, Venerable, for teaching me. Never see a dollar in donations. Do I expect any? Nope. But it just I get this a lot too. People brag, people talk about it. My job, a gift is one. My gift to the world is dedicating my body, speech, and mind for the benefit of humanity, and expect nothing in return. And at this time, I expect nothing in return except, damn it, practice diligently. Okay, achieve enlightenment. That's all I want from y'all. And actually,
don't
my motive actually is to supersede Mahasi Sayadaw's 250,000 people into the first stage of enlightenment, Sotapanna. Okay, that's like my little secret motive. It's just like I need to beat hit because it's competitive to me, just for the fun of life, just for the fun. This it is a monastic challenge for me. But other than that, I don't really expect anything from other people. But it's just so it's like who you like. Like if I had like I would never do that. I have never done that. I have never done that. I've never actually sat with somebody like, especially with a teacher, especially with a religious man, and said, I'm bragging about all this money I have in the bank. Oh yeah, I would give my shirt off my back and then get up and never put a dollar in the donation box and just literally played with them. And I'm so done just listening to some of the stories that I hear. I'm like, can you not just tell me and just do it? Just be like the Nike sign, just do it.
Oh, did you see my
And don't even donate to me. Donate to St. Jude Cancer, and just show me proof that you donated to St. Jude Cancer Foundation or like some charity. I was like, why do you feel the need to share this? I'm done listening. I can't.
So you know how kind of side note, you know you always say just do it.
Yeah,
Did you notice the shoes that I wore tonight?
let's just do it all over it.
Oh yeah, and the reason that I bought those
Oh,
was 6 years ago because I was in a point where I was making a lot of excuses, and I've always been the type of person. If you really want to achieve your goals and stay focused, write them down, read them every day. That's why I have this on my lock screen because when I really wanted to get this, I know I'm always on my phone. Every time I open my phone, I look at it.
mm.
Disappointing. And I was like, I need something. If I'm wearing it on my feet and I look at my feet every day and it says just do it. When I go and wake up in the morning to put my shoes on,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go and do it.
yeah, and you know what? Eric's noticed that started to become the tone that I'm starting to use when I'm teaching now is stern, is strict. Mind you, you got to witness the one-on-one session. I'm short, concise, too straight to the point.
Mhm.
End the story now. Like I'm literally catching myself becoming a Jan Cha, Jan Moon, like some of these very strict teachers. Like I hid this from people. I didn't want them to see that side of me that I've always had, just because you don't want to be unlikable in the beginning.
Mhm.
To inspire people and reel people in, and then try to help them. But like I've gotten this part 8 years of doing this, where I'm like, you take your suffering seriously. This is what you will do. You trust me. You trust the process. If not, find another teacher.
Mhm.
Why are we here? My key thing is, why are we here? You know, like just catch some of these small things that I say.
Mhm.
You know, and again, I'm looking for the smart, intelligent student.
I mean, earlier one thing you said that I noticed was that I could tell that you're big into business is you said quarter billion and not 250 million. Wordplay. Because a quarter billion is a lot more desirable.
Well, that's the. Can you hit that button in there for me on the on the power bank? Just hit one of the buttons, any buttons. Yeah.
But yeah, when and I picked that up when when you're talking about like your goals to beat Venerable,
Mahasi Sayadaw.
yeah,
No.
and I could tell that you obviously have insight and knowledge into business because you said quarter billion and not 250 million.
And just like I have a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And you like, and you know, when I needed to go out with Eric today, is because I'm sitting in the car with this woman, and the Karma done did a number on her too, and I'm just like, Chidao, your time is gonna come sooner than you think, and you need to like do what needs to be done as the teacher that you are, and just get it over with.
Originally.
Yeah, you know what I mean, and it's really sad to sit there and watch Karma do a number on people, like literally do a number on like the all of the direct information I know about their life and their suffering, their physical pain and suffering. It's heavy. It's heavy to carry. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like Eric, we want to go to the beach with me, and I just want to go out there and just dump everything else into the ocean and let the ocean just take it back out there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I reflect deeply. And you know why Stan's here? Stan is here. I've known Stan for like 20 years now.
I was gonna say maybe AD, AC, BC.
No. Literally, I started coming to Dr. Preston to get adjustment when I was like 14 years old. So I'm 35. So literally, I have seen. I even brought my let's say, so my girlfriend back in the day, before I was a monk. Okay, I had girlfriends, and one of my girlfriend thought that Stan was fake, and I said he's real, and she actually took Stan's finger and licked it, and I'm like, what are you doing? But she didn't know what to think that the guy was real. Like,
Is he salty?
yeah, like I'm trying to verify if he's real or not by licking him.
I mean,
But
you have a good point with pointing everybody to the teeth because you can really tell from the teeth.
I'm telling you, but why is he here, right? When I'm lying down or I'm walking into the room, this is me and this is you. This is all of us. And it reminds me not to fool around, not to play. The problem is we think we have time, and we don't have time. We're gonna be this dude very soon. All the skin on your bones will be gone.
And that's what people take it as a very like morbid thing when I say it, and I guess it's kind of the way that I put it across. Sometimes they might interpret it incorrectly, but people are always like, why do you do what you do? Why are you. And the funny thing is too is like I will spend time with people. I will not spend time with them for a substantial amount of time, and I will come back. And you know what? The common thing is that everybody always says, "Man, I thought you were dead or in jail." Why? Why? You know me. You see my work ethic. You know me because of work, because that's all I ever do. Why?
Hmm.
And it's like, and it's like, people are like, why would you want a street bike in Florida? Why would you want to do this? Why do you do that? And it's like, because I want to live my life to the fullest and do as much good for other people that I can in the time that I'm here, because tomorrow's not promised.
Mm.
You could die tomorrow. My mom's old boss walked into the walk-in cooler, had a heart attack, and died in there. He was fucking like in his 30s or early 40s.
Mm.
Nothing is promised. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to sit here and dwell on everything. I'm going to use that as energy and fuel. And because of the suffering and the pain that I felt and I've had to deal with in my life, and knowing how that feels, and try and help people not have to deal with that
Mm.
and not experience that. With going through it yourself, you realize how terrible it is, and it's like, you never want anybody else to experience that and have to go through that.
Mm. Yeah, all we can do is the best we can with what we got. And if the opportunity opens up, and through the short time me and you known each other, and if I think that you're fit in the apprenticeship and you like to travel, then that's when I'll tell you, yeah, if you want to travel, well, this is the time to do it with this teacher and start the inspiring the world on that type of a scale level. And I can't wait to like meet other. I'm pretty sure they all have an agenda for me once they see me start bouncing around the world, and I'll be like, "Can you come to our
Agendas.
monastery and teach?"
Agendas. Don't crack that can.
Huh. Well, I'm ready for. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. My job is to get everyone prepared. Like Heath and Heather. I'm so crap. Heath and Julia. Heath and Heather. Who's this guy's name again? Eric.
Who's Heather? Who's Julia?
My they are very close. They've already got the basics down. Very disciplined students. That's just amazing. Like my goal is to like cultivate these guys, because once I'm at that age where I no longer teach. It's funny in the religious realm. I don't understand how some of these professors do it for 30 years as professors. Like my dad is a triple discipline professor, and they talk because that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
In the religious realm, there is a point in time where you talk you you graduate, you give the teachings, and then the next stage is you have this you feel that you need to take this noble silence. And one of the clues that we got was Most Venerable Jayasaro, again, like His Holiness. And when I'm telling you, when I'm putting that title in front of someone's name, His Holiness, that means the magnitude of their monk life is like 40 years monk, inspiring millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
He said, when he was writing the biography of his teacher, he took a 20-year break. I realized why he took that break is because he taught, but then did they enjoy this noble, literally this very long noble silence of peace. And then hopefully you just hope they come back and teach again, or they really really dig the silence of nirvana into their cave. And some of them do retreat into actual caves and literally sleep with the bats, like their bats are like their friends. Like, you know what I mean? They're self-sufficient in the caves. I'm telling you, some of them manifest. Um, and the only time I really actually speak is when I really have to. It's around you guys, or teaching or stuff like that. If you just ever observe me in one day, I really enjoy my silence. You know what I mean? Really enjoy my rest, my silence, my meditation. 1, 2, 3, and I'm like, I'm getting there. Like Venerable Jayasaro has done, and I'm like, it's like an automatic programming. Like when you reach certain spiritual heights, you just and I started noticing it last year too. That basically I'm forcing myself to give the guided meditations
Mm-hmm.
when I'm holding the microphone and I'm giving guided meditations. Because last year when in my mind I'm like, go ahead, guide them, but I didn't. I sat there and I meditated, and I just really just like really enjoy the silence. Then I switched mode, and I decided, well, I'm meditating, and I'm just gonna bring them with me to just watch, because I figure as they're scrolling through their phone, they're like, "Whoa, he's meditating. Well, shoot, maybe I should go meditate too." And so I neglected that part of giving more. I should have given more guided meditation, but I'm enjoying it so much that I just don't want to speak. Literally, just don't want, just in bliss mode. So yeah, I think the next great thing is to cultivate the next the younger Gen Zoomers to go forth
and they
to
need
carry
it.
on my work.
They need it badly, and when I was getting out of school is when I noticed it the most, because with being a senior in high school, you see all the freshmen and sophomores and juniors, and you've seen how the people ahead of you were, and then now you see these younger classmen coming in, and they're just terrible,
Mm,
worse and worse and worse every year, every single year. I was like, this is a problem. I was like, I can't live in a world with these people,
mm.
and not in a bad way, but like they need guidance, and their parents need guidance. And one thing that I wanted to talk to you about was, because like since I met you, I've been thinking about ways to be able to reach and relate with almost anybody,
Mm.
whether it be parents or kids or whoever it is.
So the secret to that is you have to engage in social work. So part of my program, which I haven't even gotten close to because they have to get through the academic stuff first. They have to get through CBT. They have to master CBT.
Mhm.
They have to master for noble truth. They have to master the Eightfold Path. And then after that, you take all that with you and you get out in the field and you engage in the social work for a couple of years, like I did. 15 years of social work experience.
Mhm.
As, as a matter of fact, the level of my experience is equal to a doctorate, a DSW, a doctorate in social work. It's no wonder why actual LCSW consider me as equals to them. 30 years of experience.
Can you elaborate on social work for me a
Yeah,
little bit?
you need to see suffering. You need to be with suffering. You
Mm.
need to
Mm.
counsel the broken. You need to hear the broken. You have to basically sit through the pain with society. You need to see death. You need to see dying. You need to see suffering. You need the four sights that the Buddha saw: old age, disease, decay. Uh, you know, um, you have to gather enough information,
About life in general.
right, with the different cultures,
Mhm.
ethnicity, in order to relate to anyone. Just like how you saw me as a chameleon, how I can just blend right into them.
Mhm.
And when I shared my story about the one gentleman who was screaming on the phone with his girlfriend that she's all up in his business because he's the one who created the causes and conditions for her to be suspicious in the first place. And I knew that. And I knew that. And I went there with my questioning and I said, and how did you think you carried yourself to the point where she is suspicious of you? And then when you get this skilled, you learn how to question because of the design of your questions bring forth the truth that you need to help them.
Mhm.
And this man was enlightened quickly. When I asked him that, and he's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well. So the truth is, sir, is I was working and this other female was there, and then I gave her my phone number, and so I'm hearing the story, and I'm like, yeah. And what is your policy about giving your own personal cell phone and not the business cell phone? So you crossed the line, did you not?" And he's like, I caught him. I caught him in his narrative. And I'm like, so because of, and then here comes the story. Or and then she started, and she was a single mom. She had, and she started sending me pictures, and she started sending you pictures. Did you entertain those pictures? So you have to know how to follow up with those in order to help people see it because they want to deny responsibility.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, they want
I know
they.
exactly what you're talking about, and I've done that with people too, because sometimes people that come to you that are asking for help, begging for help, they don't necessarily want it. So you have to really start asking. You need all the information. How are
Oh,
you supposed to help somebody when you have no information?
my screen just went crazy. No, it's good.
Eh,
And what I did out there, I didn't even realize I was doing it because it's so natural in my
yeah,
operations, like just the
yeah.
human that I am,
Hmm.
that I realized that I was doing the one thing I always wanted to do when I was inspired by Dr. Keith Abloh, who did street therapy in New York. He There was one of those books that inspired me. And this psychiatrist runs around New York and he's asking people questions. He's fixing them in minutes. He's fixing their whole life in minutes out in the streets of New York and publishing books and delivered it. And I was like, oh damn, holy cow. I never imagined in my life I am now the modern day Keith Abloh, except well, he has no hair, so I have no hair. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah,
modern day
yeah,
Keith Abloh,
yeah.
and and I just hope the students see that, and I think that's why I inspire you all. The last Sunday service was to help to be skilled enough to fix someone in a matter of minutes and go home and rejoice in that achievement. But but you do it every day, and you just realize that wow, there is no
It's addicting.
uh, quite addicting. Yes, actually, you know what I mean.
It is. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Uh,
That's
and
why I'm so interested in all of this and everything that you do because of the few people that I have helped, and it's like, man, you want to do more.
and under right livelihood in the Noble Eightfold Path, the eight path that is necessary to find the middle way. Lawyers and doctors help people too, but you know what? They had to play with so many politics in order to make ends meet, and tread the line of ethics and morality. Because some doctors lie on the insurance to get more money, so their practice can
Hmm.
continue and hire
Yeah.
more people to help people. And then lawyers too have to play the politics that they do in order to get the favorable outcome in those cases. So therefore, it's not really honest, is it? But in this line of work, in this line of religious work, you don't there's no you don't have to tread those lines of, oh, am I do you have a very good teacher teaching you all how to truly help people without insurance codes,
Hmm.
and play the games that other professions has to play, and then they go home at night sleeping, wondering, did I do the right thing? Who have I become? That was one of our meditation is, who have I become at the end of the day, based on the choice I've made, moment to moment, day by day.
And I mean, I think you can honestly replace, you were saying treading that line with treading morals.
Mm,
And it's funny you bring up lawyer and those professions because obviously you know that I've been in systems, quite a few different systems, and I've seen the people that have been in those systems and talked to them, studied them, analyzed them, and kind of investigated them almost, built cases on them, because I want to see, what does the system actually do? What does it actually accomplish? Why are these people in here? What has happened to them that they're in here? Because I'm a very curious person,
mm.
and there was times where I was thinking about going to law school, but then I start reading into it, and like you said, you have to play certain lines, and a lot of things almost test your morals, and it's like you're helping people, but at what cost?
Mm.
And like you said, you go home at night, and you're like, man, what did I just do? Like,
Ooh.
yeah, I helped this person, but like, there's some of the shit that I had to do,
Mm.
and because politicians and the higher ups in this world that run the world, that you have to navigate and find loopholes and gray areas, and it's not illegal, but it's not legal, and and it's just like it never really jived with me.
So along this path is a lot of studying, and whether the question is, the burning desire a student has, the burning desire in a student's heart, as how much they want it, and how much they want it, and how much this is going to align with their beliefs and convictions, and how rewarding they believe this is will be for them, um, will determine their
Growth.
sheer determination to get it. Uh, you know, I didn't sit there and like, yeah, I'm gonna study and become the best, blah blah blah. I just wanted to make sense of my own life first and foremost.
Mhm.
So I just hope that all of y'all get through the CBT, master the darn, just do what needs to be done. And it's now at that critical point where I'm not gonna have that much time left to babysit people. And basically I'm gonna tell people, I already have, and is and going to tell people, I left you a library of teachings. Go in there and dig. Each live talk is a book. Keep reading, keep listening until you get the point. That's it. I mean, it's all there already. You want to get to this magnitude, you have to do the work. And I've made it so easy for y'all to do the work. Buy some freaking earplugs. hit play, listen, stop listening to rap.
But actually listen,
Right, actually.
absorb, interpret.
But but the fact, I mean, you're close to it. You know, you already started paying attention to philosophy out there, out and about. You just need to channel all of your attention to one thing and be good at the one thing.
And you know what's funny is that I had somebody asking me the other day, because especially around my age, everybody, asks, what do you want to do? Career, this, that, the other, where do you want to be?
Mm,
And I've never really been too firm on anything. And because you know that I've done a lot of different things. And just to try and see. You
Mm.
don't know until you try. And
Yeah.
once I met you and everything and saw, your motivations and what you were trying to do with this world and help these people, I mean, I got asked, I think 2 days ago, like, they were pressing me, trying to say, like, oh, you need to go off and start your own thing. It pressed me for the good reasons, because they want me to be successful in life. But ever since the first time that we came here, and the only reason I came here, the only reason I went with Dom was solely for the fact to help somebody else out. And because I didn't know anything about you, I didn't know anything that was going on. I didn't know where I was even going or who I was meeting. I got, you want to come help my friend doing some marketing things? Sure, I'll help him out. He's like, oh, you can make some money. You might make some money too. And I was like, I don't care about money. I'll just go with you because I like you. I like spending time with you, and to help somebody else out too. Why not? It's like I'm literally not doing anything else with my time. Why not? And it's just, but back to the thing was, they were asking me, they're like, I have all this stuff I can give you. Like, I want, like, go off and start your own business. And at one point, excuses and being lazy was thrown into there. And it's like, no, it's not. But I didn't even waste my time explaining to them. Kind of like how sometimes, some of the things that we've talked about, it's like, I'll just say paintball so they understand. And I don't have to explain it. And it's just like, I told him, I was like, look, I'm not lazy. And you know this as well as I know this. I'm not a lazy person. And it's not necessarily excuses. I just didn't want to elaborate because since I met you, the only thing that my mind has been set on is how can we grow this? How can we expand this? How can we help more people in a shorter amount of time? What can I do to help him do what he wants to do? And like you were saying with the contributions, kind of circling back to that and how, all these people, they talk and talk and talk, but they don't contribute anything. I hate, and I'm sure you could tell, I don't like accepting things from people. Like when I go out with people, like when you bought me the food and paid for me to go and do what we did and all that, I hate that because in my life that's been used against me. It's been used as ammunition. It's been used as knives in my back. And because it makes me happier to give to somebody else than take from them, even though I know that gives them the same feeling as me, but it's been tainted throughout my life.
Yeah. So
that's why I've been coming back. Like I came here the past 3 nights in a row while working full time. While, the prior week I was helping, these folks move, trying to help them and relieve some of their stress and anything that I can do. I don't have money. I don't have a lot of things that I can offer, but I have my presence. I can help you move. I have my van. You can do, less amount of trips, whatever I can do. Not expecting anything in return. And that's why I'm saying there's a lot of cans that you're cracking that I try to steer away from for the time being because they're good for other talks, but I'll dabble in them a little bit. But with expectations early on in my life, because of my father, I used to have very high expectations, as you're looking at your father, you have very high expectations for them. And those expectations would always be destroyed. So very on in my life, with anybody in my life, it used to be expectations up here, but I'd always get destroyed and it'd screw with me. So I'm like, well, I'm going to go into it not expecting anything and not hoping for anything, and not in a bad way, but because if you set your expectations lower, it's not going to break you. You're going to be prepared for it. You can handle it. And if they exceed those expectations, it's only good. And because some people look at having low expectations for people or certain things bad, but it depends on how you look at it. Because it's not in a negative manner that I do that. And that's something that I tried to explain to my ex. She said that I was a very negative person. It's not that I was being negative, it's that, because for example, her sister's car, something happened to it, wouldn't start, wouldn't even turn on, and I was like, the motor's probably blown, the car's probably done, you're probably gonna have to get a new motor. But everybody wants to hold on to something, hope. They're like, no, we haven't got it looked at yet, this, that, the other. Well, I have worked on cars, I've blown up cars, I know what happens, and I know that she never took care of it. And because I asked her when I got there, I was like, when's the last time you've done an oil change on this? I'm like, So, and they thought that I was being negative, and about a week later, the motor's blown, you need a new motor. But you're holding on to the little string of light that, like, maybe it'll work.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't, you're crushed. How are you going to handle it? You're going to lose it. You need to prepare yourself for the worst, and if the best comes, then it's even better. And it's that's main point of this was, that's why I've come here the past 3 nights in a row. That's why I've been trying to help open your mind, because when I help open your mind, I help open my mind. And that's why I've been trying to come here and show that, like, look, like, I can do all this talking, but I am the same way as you, and I'm about actions. And if my accountability is lacking or my reliability is lacking, I will own that. And that's a big thing that people have a problem doing today is when they make a mistake, when they fuck up, they don't want to own it. They don't want to take responsibility for it, for their actions, and they don't want to see the consequences. But you will gain more respect earning and owning your mistakes and failures than you will trying to hide them. And because, like I said, I mean, we've talked, what's going on in my life the past couple months. That I'm having problems right now. So that I don't really have money to give. But that's why I've been coming back.
Well, I don't expect it, because it's not priority right now on my list about students giving. What is priority on my list for local students is to study and to use the time. The most precious thing right now is the timing. And if you believe in this cause, and if you believe in furthering this cause, you must know what this is all about, and who is it for, and who's benefiting from the great work that traces back to the one and only Buddha. And it's everything's gonna work out the way that it's gonna work out. I mean, you don't see me stressing about. I mean, I have so many podcasts out there right now. Everything's going the way that it was going. There's no need to scale anymore. I don't have to push it to scale. It is what it is. It's gonna. I know.
And I know you don't. But the thing is that with meeting you and having Dom as a very close friend and everything else, and everything that's happening in my life, seeing what you did inspired me to make it even bigger than what you have done. Not competing with you, but seeing what you've done and everything that you've posted and the amount of dedication and sheer will you have for this. I was like, well, let's make it bigger. And not work that you. That's why I was like, I want to do this, Instagram page. I want to help scale it, because I think it's a very important topic. I think it's something that a lot of people need, and a lot of the people that are big influencers in the world, like people that I have seen, on my phone or anything else that I've pulled quotes from or have helped me through my life, they get silenced because the big sharks and the governments and everything else, they all see this, obviously. And when people actually start having the ability to change themselves without big pharma and doctors and everything else, they start to get silenced. They start to go away, one after another.
So this thing, it has to be continued. The world needs this. People
Yeah.
need this, and a lot of the times people don't want to talk. Everybody on the internet says, find somebody that's close to you. Find somebody, find one person you can talk to, you can be close with. But a lot of people, they don't want to talk to their problems, and me, including myself. Like a lot of times, I didn't want to talk to people that I knew closely because they know all the other people that I'm going to be talking about, and whether or not it's bad or good, it's just it brings stress to you. Like, oh, is this going to get to this person, or what is their bias? And sometimes it's nice to go to somebody that is completely out of the loop and talk, and you can fully open up.
Mm.
And I think that with what you've done on YouTube, and allowing people, giving people your number, and them being able to call you and talk to you, is going to be able to reach and help people better than saying, go find somebody close to you, talk to your brother, talk to your dad, talk to your friend.
Mm.
Because a lot of the times you're going to withhold information that needs to be given out in order to find the root, find the cause, or find, oh, what was it? I was thinking about something earlier. Find the cause, fix the effect.
Mm.
When you find the cause, you can fix the effect. Until you find the cause, you're not going to fix the effect.
Mm. You know what I need is any student that wants to help has to first resolve their own issues at a high rate of speed. The world does not need someone who has not resolved their own issues to take stage and platform. They will see right through you.
Oh yeah.
Mind you, the TikTok thing was an experiment, and so how many people can you actually fool, right? Had I not meditate, had I not done my homework, and when I did what I did, people told me, they're like, there is something in your voice that that people can feel, people can see clearly where you've been in life. And I was like, oh, I don't know that. I can't hear my own voice. I mean, not like with how you the projecting that the audio, whatever the case may be. I think what the world is waiting for from me is to see the graduate students step forward. And there's gonna be times where I can't be doing this all day, every day. I want to be out and about doing my own. Like I told you, I really like to sit in Vietnam or sit wherever and go through all of that and refine it again. Um, I've only been focusing on basic teachings, so that the basic people can understand it from a level that is like, oh, we got it now. They're much more deeper in context that I have to dive in, and I need time as a teacher. It's like teacher planning day, but our day just so happens to be months and months and months. Not like your regular high school teacher planning day where they only need one day to plan. And I think the whole world awaits to see the graduates of the venerable, just like um just like how the archbishop oversees the priest that is under their supervision, is, you know what I mean? That's how you serve the people effectively. So the best advice I can give you, and I really admire your ambition, is if this is what you want to do, and slowly your heart convinces you, or you convince your heart, is to now discipline yourself, severely discipline yourself, as if I'm with you all the time, as I'm sitting next to you in your van. You have to pretend that, because no one,
I've already started working on that too, because and that's why I liked you, and I like some of the people that I've met very recently in my life, because it made me want to become a better person and stop certain habits that I have in my life, and really stop those habits in my life, and resist certain temptations that I've had in the past that have almost destroyed me.
So I'm looking for certain specific things from students with the personality that they have, the things that they are ingrained with, the things who they are. You know what I mean? And now is a good time to tighten up very quickly. And I tell you what, I've seen people change overnight. I have. and it's a possibility. There is they literally change overnight, and people say like, "Oh, you can't change it." Yes, you can. I've seen it. I've seen it, and I you have it. You just have to. And there's always this option where you give me permission to tighten you up where it needs to be tightened up.
Oh, you can be as blunt with me as you want because I don't take things personally, and constructive criticism is very necessary in life.
You know, that there will becomes a time where I will find a nice place to reside, and people, I'm telling you, people are gonna with with the amount of people that's out there watching all of this and the amount of people that's reading and all this stuff like that, there has to be at least a group of like 10 or 20 or 40, 50 that will have to find me, like the text message that I'll show, like I showed, they're like, how do I get into your program and be ordained? Like I get that all the time, so they'll find me.
Can you give me the definition of ordained?
To give up,
Okay.
to give up
Okay.
everything
Okay.
and to don the robes and lower the hair. Ordination means that you're like, oh shoot, I am submitting. I want to submit to the order of monkhood. I'm done. I'm done with chasing after pleasure. I'm done with my desires. I see my desires causing me suffering, and I want to dedicate my body, speech, and mind for the benefit of others by becoming a monk. I want to change myself. That's ordination. The act of all giving, and the act of giving up everything. So, anyways, somewhere down the line, someone out there is they're going to seek me out. And there will become a time where I now have to take these students underneath my wing for ordination, like literally reside with me wherever, Thailand, Sri Lanka, up in the mountains, cave, forest, or jungle. And that's when I'm really blunt. That's when but by that age, I'm like a Jan Cha, you know. At that stage and age, I mean, I think the world's expecting sit, breathe, don't ask any questions, like a very blunt, straightforward commands, very blunt, straightforward instructions. And if you're not cut out for it, it's just like SEALs training. It's just like Rangers training, but in Buddhism, literally like the ultimate mental boot camp. Make it or break it type kind of deal.
It weeds out the weed.
Right. So you have to you there. So I want you to reflect that if you cannot stay on top of yourself, and if you said, you know what, it's time for me to pretend like I'm in your ordination program, and that's when I would tell you, stay quiet, keep quiet. I'll give you certain specific instructions because I'm the doctor. I'm the spiritual doctor that is prescribing for you what it is that I think is good for you in this moment in your life.
Mm-hmm.
For the past couple of days of intimate sharing of information, I see. I am appreciative, and it's an honor as a teacher to hear people's stories. That's how I become a better teacher. Is you have to walk with the student. In order to walk with the student, one must know how to listen deeply, without judgment. So hopefully, you 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 look at it, and if it's something that you have determined, the multitasking thing is a terrible thing because you'll be all over the place. Um, it's not good for focus. One who chooses this path or want to inspire others on this path has to really narrow down his focus, his attention as much as possible. Not 100% all the way, but close to it so that you're on point with what's going on and not to be distracted. The goal of all of this is mindfulness. You can't be mindful when you have 16 different things going on and drama in your life, drama that you are creating, is about to create, or problems that you have created before, and it's going to find its way back to you. So that's one thing that I've told people is like, oh, you want to meditate? Really? Well, here's the prerequisites before you meditate. And one of those prerequisites is quit the drama, cut back on the drama. And they love it. They're like, oh, we get it. And I'm like, do you need me to define drama for you? Which is all the baby mama drama that you've caused for yourself. or things that you've done that's not just gonna creep and crawl. Because when there's drama in your life, you're sleeping with one eye open.
Yeah.
Somebody's after you, or you're after somebody.
Drama's terrible, and I've always hated drama, and that's why I was so glad to get out of school, and that's one reason why I've always hated school, is because no matter while you're in school, you can try as hard as you want, because it was me. You can try as hard as you want to get away from all the drama, and it'll still make it to where you somehow, some way. But when you step away from all that and you get older, it goes away. If you allow it to.
I had to discipline. The lightning bolt came out. It's a rare thing when I throw a lightning bolt at somebody. But one of the student under my supervision got in trouble with the law and got himself into a mess with with a girl, and it was just a big mess. And I'm sitting here like this, and I'm just like, you failed. You effed up. Do you understand the magnitude of effing up that you have created? There are certain lines that's really deep. The words are very sharp. It's meant to penetrate. It's meant to convey magnitude, depth of one's beep up. Fucking up. Fucked up.
Mhm.
And I think that was the only time. And then just the other day, I was helping my dad at the office, and I was out in the field with a client of my dad, and I had to straighten him out. As I'm straightening him out, he's doing this, and I said, the guy's like 52 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Vietnamese culture is the young has to respect the older.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, stop yourself. Stop. I'm an instructor. I'm not your son. I'm not your kid. I'm an instructor. Been doing this for 15 years. When I speak, you listen. Do you understand? He still didn't get it. And he's still doing this. I said, stop. Be quiet. And then and I'm explaining to him, like, your behavior is it's very different. God, being down one the but I said it in the most calmest voice ever, just like I'm saying it now. But he feels the sharpness of the blade, and he tells me that he says, your words are quite deep. And I looked at him dead in his face. I mean, there's certain looks that I give people,
Mm-hmm.
and there's certain tone that I give people. It's a rare thing I give these type of treatment, just because it's meant to stop someone and get them to be mindful of what is happening in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, you're right, because it's intended to be sharp. So then I'm like, okay, all right. Well, you know what? Why don't you cool off for a second? I come back, and he apologizes. Then I'm explaining about what just happened, and he's still doing this. And I'm reminding him again. And I said, I haven't even finished my paragraph with you. Keyword, paragraph. So, I mean, obviously, if it ever got to that point, obviously, he is one in a billion. Obviously, if I have a problem with you, it's you are the problem. In my field of social work, you are the problem. If I have to go this route in this mode, you are the problem. You know what I mean? Because I have guidelines before it gets to that point. Like, and I know how I'm approaching people and how I'm presenting information to people.
Self-control.
Right. And it's just like, do you know how to not have any respect? But obviously, he was not well educated. Obviously, he could not. The word here is discern a person's actual position of instructor, teacher, obviously the know-it-all. I'm trained to see the know-it-all, and I'm just like, you know, uh, oh God. Before I hit the 1 million mark thing, right? I was truly a student, not a teacher yet.
Mhm.
At Blissful Beginnings, I'm just there to be a student. I'm just listened, and I was under the guidance of Avani, and I walk across the room as this kid monk, and this black lady, at all people, this black lady, she looked at me and she said, "Sir, can I shake your hand?" And I shook her hand on live, which is I'm not supposed to touch women. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Well, but this must be a healing thing, right? Okay, I understand the healing properties of touch in America. But then she told me this dead on live. She says, as she's holding my hand, she looks up to at me and she says, "Y- "You are a very powerful man." Now I didn't know what that meant. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought she was like drunk or something. I don't know. I'm like, no one's ever told. I'm just here to study. Like, what are you talking about? Goodness, these robes command that type of respect or something. Like, okay, can I go now? My mind, right?
Give my hand back.
But so there's these type of people that can pick up cues and clues. Um, Pick up these cues and clues uh, of the energy of people
Mhm.
and their capacity to be powerful. And blessed are those who can pick that up. And blessed are those who have that type of social intelligence, relational intelligence. And damn it, the ones that can't and willful, knowingly, and the gentleman I encounter with, and I just want, I know that, and I try, and like, have you ever been told that you were defiant or hard-headed or stubborn? And you can see his mouth started to move, his lips started to move, and I can tell he's defensiveness, the know-it-all, in addition, the ignorant, the know-it-all, and the defensiveness, all wrapped in one. And before he even uttered a word, I said, "What if I asked your wife, which is right around the corner, and your daughter right around the corner, how stubborn you actually really are? What would they tell me?" And it hit it right on the spot. He knew. I realized. So when I'm bored, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes I do get bored. So there's this new show called The Chosen, which is literally Jesus's life. They made a movie. They've always made movies of Jesus, but the most recent one is called The Chosen. And I just, I've already mastered somewhat of the Bible. I just want to see how they depict him nowadays, and that's what Jesus does. I'm not Jesus, by the way. I'm not by all means. So people's gonna think, "Oh my God, he thinks he's the Buddha and Jesus." You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
But when you just watch the show, just watch it just for the fun of it. Just watch the show and watch how Jesus encounter the public, encounter the public with his words, the way that he speaks to people gets them to go, hmm. But Jesus also flex a lot. He also performs miracles and do all these things. I mean, he was literally painting a target on his back.
Line.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, anyways, I'm again, but it was just there was times where I'm just like, I can't. I mean, I figured them out, and I was just like, at that point, the wise rules them as fools, and the wise don't argue with fools because they're fools. Just like the same quote that you just read out of
Mhm.
the Dhammapada or whatever on your phone.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm I'm through here. But at the office has always been a challenge with my dad's office. And sometimes people do it to him. And I'm like, why'd you spend 20 minutes on the phone? You're the one who told me you don't ever speak to people that don't spend money in this office. I was like, you're also a triple discipline professor. What happened? Did you forget your own policy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The ever presenting challenge of encountering with the public. And and sometimes I may be a little harsh, but it's necessary to fix the behavior. And hopefully this man went home and really thought about what he did, because I gave him ample opportunity, because see because we are intelligent, quick to pick up cues and clues about people's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I told him multiple times, like, why don't you sit there and think about what went wrong? Why don't you sit there and think about what you did and why we're here, why we're having this conversation? Why don't you sit over there for a second? So I'm making him reflect.
Mm-hmm.
My hope is that he goes home and he reflects and stop being stubborn and stop this mess. And all of that happened within like 10 minutes. That's it. And I won't allow it any further to preserve my time and peace. I'm not being paid to sit there and do this with you right now. You're lucky you got words of the wise. He probably didn't even see that. So hopefully, due to his age, he would go home, a married man with a daughter that's like 30-something years old.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine you done did something right in your life. Go home and think about it. Mind you, there are times where I really want to play Jesus, which is to flex. You know what I mean? That's what Jesus does. He flex. Jesus is like, I'm the Messiah, and my Father up in heaven with, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, the Buddha gave instructions not to flex. So I'm just like, we're done here. This court is adjourned. Go home. I'm done. But I hope that you just stay on point, and you are early praise and promise. I can see it. I can see it when we spoke on the phone before you came down to see me.
I almost didn't come.
I what the truth about people is, and how do we get the truth about people, is their words and actions are congruent.
Mm-hmm.
And as with all students, I approach them with caution.
Mm-hmm.
And it is time that tells me whether or not their words and actions will be congruent, or as congruent as it is ever going to get.
Mm-hmm.
That means I don't expect perfection, but effort in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do commend you on the effort that you have put in so far. It's recognized. I don't forget. There's times where it seems like I have dementia. Just know that sometimes I could pretend like I have dementia when I in fact don't. And actually, I do. I've played that game at my Sunday service before. I'm like, what was that again? And then they're all flipping in their page, and then I tell them like, oh, how do you not know that I actually was playing with you and seeing if you were mindful? Then I'm like, do you think I ever lose mindfulness? And it throws them off. They're like, oh.
I joke
They're like,
around with
what?
that, like all the time. Like, I mean, for example, at work, like always before I leave, I gotta take one of the bar trashes out, and I consistently forget. I walk out with the bag, throw it away, walk back past where the trash bags are, go back to the bar, see the empty can, and the bartender Kate will look at me and go, "Got the bag again, didn't you?" I was like, "I'm just making sure you're paying attention. I'm just make sure you're still awake." And she's like, I was like, "Yeah, I forgot the bag." Somehow again. But and with the whole thing with words and actions, that's something I've always been big on, and I've tried to always be mindful of, and mindfulness is something that I've tried to do a lot of in my life, because yes, I've made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Yes, I've done things that I haven't wanted to do. But like the one thing that I've always tried to do is that if I make a promise, if I say something, if I tell you something, if I tell you I'm gonna do something or be somewhere or whatever it is, if I say it to you, I try and always make sure that it happens. And if not, I will communicate with you.
Hmm.
Because of, again, and this goes back to my root problems that I had as a child that I've learned now is not, because as I was younger, I always hated it. But as I've gotten older and had time to look back on it and out of that angry state and out of that situation and environment and actually had time to look back on it and think about it, it's all just been a blessing in disguise because it's like, my dad always consistently breaking me and breaking me and breaking me. That made me one of the power banks.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everything that my dad had done in my life that had brought me pain and suffering and misery has made me want to not do that and be the opposite of that. And especially like with my mom, and because I hated alcohol for the longest time. I always told myself, "Oh, I'm never going to drink it. I don't want to get into it." But and you can see me drink, and because as I've gotten older, I had to realize myself that I'm not my mom. She is the way that she is because of whatever has happened in her life and probably problems that she has never fucking resolved. And I always had to tell myself and remind myself, and other people would too, because I was always, as a younger child, I was always worried that because everybody's like, oh, well, you grow up to be, like your parents. You want to, you look up to your parents. You want to be like your parents. And it's like I never wanted to be like my parents. I wanted to be the exact opposite. Because how they made me feel and what they had done to me and the suffering that they have brought. And so when I can't keep a promise and when I can't be accountable and reliable, and that's something that I look for in everybody that I surround myself with. Reliability, accountability, speak all you want, but what are you actually going to do? And I'm not always perfect either. I mean, sometimes, yeah, I can't make it. I can't do it. Something goes on, but I will try. I always try my best to communicate. Because if you can't do it, then communicate ahead of time or the day of, whatever it is. Don't ghost. You made a promise, you made a commitment. Follow through with it or explain to them, look, I got this going on, or I got this going on, or I really wanted to make it. I don't mean to disappoint you.
Yeah. I mean, it just shows thoughtfulness. Thoughtfulness in the sense of that is actually one of my measurements on how do you know someone actually cares. You look at the way how they communicate, and students who don't give a shit, I know that they don't give a shit because they don't ever answer their phone. That is supreme narcissism, supreme
And
narcissism, supreme self-centered.
Yeah, and not even that, or at least respond back, whether you're busy or not. Text or call.
I mean, how many times I have told students that of all ages, and because as an interpreter, my phone follows me everywhere. You know what I mean? In bed and the hospital calls and blah, 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 all sorts of crap. And it's just like it's so funny. With just texting behavior, you can tell so many things. And I've sat there with students. I'm like, you just don't give a shit, do you? And they're like, yeah, you're right. It wasn't hard to figure that out.
Yeah. Yep. It's funny, and human nature is very funny, and the world is a very dark place. But that, with the world being as dark of a place it is, it makes the light even brighter. I mean, and we continue to talk about balance, and it's necessary in all forms of everything and anything. Without the rain, you wouldn't appreciate the sun. Without the heat, you wouldn't appreciate the cold. Without the pain, you wouldn't appreciate the I mean, you know what I'm getting at. But and it's just people. The world that we used to have is no longer, and it's dying.
Let me
at
tell
a
you
fast
something
rate.
about what's going to happen to the world. They will seek us out. They have no choice. They have no choice but to turn to Buddhism. In every areas of life, they have no choice but to turn to Buddhism. We will prevail. This philosophy and religion will prevail.
And it's already starting to be.
Because think about it. Let's take the police world for a second, just for fun. Yeah, there's cops out there, and there's policies and there's cameras and stuff like that. You want to be a bad cop? Really? You think you can get away with being a bad cop? How? You can't. You'll slip. They'll catch you slipping. Of course, we have already catch a bunch of them slipping all day, every day they're slipping. Right? You look at the sector. You look at the mindlessness in the industry and occupation, and you realize that these human mistakes is as a direct result of not being mindful. This means black belt in mindfulness. And when you're mindful, you save money, effectiveness, efficiency as a human, as a doctor, as a lawyer, as a cop, as whatever the hell you are, as a mother, as a brother. Just just reflect on everybody who's watching right now. Just reflect on y'all's life and everyone's in y'all's life. They done did the crap that they've been doing, saying the crap that they've been saying because they weren't mindful. Weren't mindful worth the damn. Bias, discrimination, racism is as a direct result of not being mindful. Not be mindful of what? Of one's mind. Not be mindful of what? Of one's words. Before your words came out, you have to think about it before it comes out. So eventually Buddhism will prevail, and eventually they will have no choice but to look up to the monks and be like, well, you know what? Everything failed. And it seems like this is the last straw to repair humanity. It is. And one congressman, was it Tim Ryan? Tim Ryan spearheaded mindfulness. One out of all the idiots in Washington figured it out, right? And that's one of them. Again, one out of all the idiots in position of power figured it out. Tim Ryan. So I know that the man is different, right? On the quarter, e pluribus unum in Latin. Out of many, one. So that's why I'm preparing all of it. So I've been knowing this since the dawn of time, since I was in college, that crap was going to hit the fan. And where are they going to turn to? Us. So we have to prepare to deal with the masses of suffering. And can one person make a difference? I'm living proof. So's Reverend Al Sharpton, shows Dr. MLK, so's the rest of the other people in life that have made a difference and stand firm and just took in the masses and led the masses of people. So I'm just we Theravadins to sit back for a little bit and we just kind of watch, probably hold a cigar and just we're waiting for them to knock on our door. And right now we're watching the world burn because it's burning. And eventually when it's tired of burning, it will come ask us for water. It'll come ask us, please help us put out the fire of greed, put out the fire of anger, put out the fire of ignorance, the three poison. It all comes back to that. Tham, sung, si, greed, anger, delusion. So if you're bright enough to see that and help do this process, you will be one of the greatest man ever lived. Did you realize I'm not here to like toot my own horn or anything like that.
No,
But with the amount of teachings that I have given and touching on subjects no monks have ever qualified to get near. Policing and mindfulness is one of them. You have to be educated on the subject to know how to give the teachings, because a bunch of groups out there are listening to you. LGBTQIA plus is another. Just all of these darn teachings out there. So, there's I cultivate the next leaders of tomorrow. It has to be that way. I like it. It's necessary. We need more leaders to go forth and affect change, no matter how big or small that change is. Some change is better than no change, and with the highest caliber of intelligence of students, which is your generation, which is you, the sample generation, the sample of the population of the generation, have exactly what it's like, just like the other previous generations, like Dr. Shoyano, University of Chicago, was a child prodigy, PhD at like 19 years old. He was an MD, PhD at 23. He's MD at 18 years old and a PhD at 23 years old. Shoyano. And I was just like, what? So that meant he just focused on one thing, which is child neurology. Was a brain surgeon for pediatric, which is like, whoa, you're working on kids. You mess this up, that kid will never be the same because of your hand, your knife, your doing. Yeah, think about that for a second. So, and I have no doubt that generation had already passed, and now your generation is even smarter. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And if you just learn how to sharpen your knife, you can penetrate through the mist and the clouds and help the masses. I mean, that I'm telling you, it's a feeling that is indescribable. No billions of dollars in your bank account can bring that type of feeling, to know that you are the greatest of all time. GOAT. You know what I mean? The people are like, why he never yet? He never saying, well, what? He's in a history book. He's on Wikipedia.
You know what's funny? That I was listening to everything you just said, but I also wanted it just kind of snapped in my brain. What you said about what encouraged you to do all of this, and you pointed towards your door at being out there. It's kind of the same reason, and if you remember me saying the other day that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I feel like that there's a reason that we came together, that we met, that, and because we didn't even meet between the two of us, it was mutually. And because my parents have just been, they act like they don't know me anymore. And my parents, like, I try not to let them bring me anger anymore. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. They're gonna be them. That's them. But I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I know who I am. I know what I am capable of. If they want to pretend like they don't know me anymore, that's fine.
Just pretend they're dead.
Pretty much. That's what I do. And people see that as so morbid, because I tell people, they're like, well, you're so mean to your parents. What if they died tomorrow? I said, I would feel nothing. I would feel peace. Bliss.
All right, so I will expand on this talk later, but everyone knows I've been at war with my mother, and at the current time, and at the time of this talk, I pretend like she's dead, like she's not even there, because she does not behave like a living Buddha, like the Buddha have said to in the text, that parents are living Buddhas, and when they do not exemplify qualities of a living Buddha, to ensure your own peace, you have to pretend like they're dead. You have to like literally be creative with your mind and be like, what? There's a ghost in here? Oh, how? What? Ghosts? They talk? What? You just come over often and just watch. When I'll just pretend like, what? What's going on?
Yeah. I mean, even in the past.
Huh? What? Oh, I'm sorry. You're still here? Why? Casper, the unfriendly ghost?
Yeah, man, and it's
you don't need to justify to your friends the morbidity of you're thinking.
No, and I never do.
This
Because
guy-
they're small-minded.
Morbidity. I have a
Right.
real skeleton in my room. Y'all see this? Oh, no, TikTok don't see this. TikTok's like, what?
And,
This is Stan. Stan's a real skeleton.
and those people that find that morbid, they're not my friends, and they're not even. I wouldn't even classify them as associates. It's just people that come up to me and they're curious about me. You know what I mean? And if somebody's curious about me, I don't care. I will tell you. And because a lot of people get worried because of sensitive topics, right? They don't want to bring up old wounds. They don't want to, they tiptoe. And it's like, no. If you have a question, ask me. I will answer it. I will give you an answer. If you have curiosity, I will fill that curiosity with an answer, and an intelligent answer that'll make you think. And they find it morbid, but it's just because they're like you said, social, the social working. It's people like that have never experienced any other pain, or that magnitude of pain, that street of pain, so they can't even fathom it. They can't understand it. So, and that's why I tell people that, and that's why sometimes I am a little bit morbid, so that it really fucking opens their mind, and they're like, and instead of having a talk and they forget about it in 5 minutes, they're thinking about it for the next 5 days, and it really makes them think.
I hope somewhere down the line you dig into the teachings, and if you ever get bored and go on my YouTube, and somewhere down the line you come to the same conclusion, the same concurring conclusion, the same consecutive conclusion of, yeah, well, my name is Sam. I came in this world and I experienced the world the way that it threw at me, and holy cow, I never want to come back. And then you learn about the path to sainthood, and you're like, well, who gives a damn if this actually is real or not real? You know what? It sounds real good right about now. And spearhead towards it. We have active living arahants now. We have previous arahants. They've made bronze statues of them in Thailand and elsewhere around the world. We have active living arahants now. I have reason to believe that I met one at the DMV right around the corner from right here. I've shared those stories publicly, unless everyone adjudicate that I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs right now, that at the time of this talk I'm under the influence of drug or alcohol. I know what the hell I saw. I know what the hell I heard. And I know the hell how I evaluated him and assessed him, and have belief that this man is in fact a fully enlightened being right here in St. Pete. So I know that the living arahants that is running around. You just have to know where to look, how to look for them. And if I'm wrong, well, I must suck at science if I'm wrong. But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the fact that the magnitude of your suffering, let that be fuel, let that be ammo.
And it always has been.
To propel you towards the path to sainthood. You have it. You all have it. Because it sucks when you look back. I mean, just imagine taking another rebirth realm and coming back with parents worse than that. Worse than that. More toxic. I mean, just look at the news. The news shows you the hell realm. When parents abuse their kids and then shoot their kids. Kills their 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds. Just study it. Just have this curiosity of, is karma actually real?
Karma's very real.
How are you going to proceed? The totality of this lifetime, of your lifetime, the totality, 75 summers, 75 winters, 75 autumns, 75 springs. You're now in your 20s, so you have 50 left. If you break down, was it in a month we have 720 hours? How do you spend each hour? If I tell you I'm your doctor and I diagnose you with stage 4 lung cancer, and it has reached to the point where you have 1 month to live. 24 times 3 is 24 times 3 is somewhere 720 hours. I swear my math is not wrong. And again, you would look at how you sleep, you would look at how you wake up, and you would look at how you do things. 24 times 30. 720 hours. And how would you spend it then?
You'd be
To
very mindful then.
oh yeah, your butt cheeks will be tightened real quick. And
You either lose it or try and find peace.
and that's the problems. We think we have time when we in fact don't. You know. And once, as a matter of fact, you're working over there right now, and I wish that you can go with me to some of these medical settings that Steve has. Steve helps me drive these patients, and he sits in the clinical room with me, and there's like medical models in the room, and then we're sitting there. He's hearing the doctor give them the diagnosis. He's looking at X-ray results. He's looking at things, and you know what I mean? And I wish you were there with me because you could probably absorb more of it. It was more meaningful to you in comparable to other students to watch it unfold and play out and to see how real life is raw. Like, oh my God. And then reflect it back onto you when one day your kidneys are not going to function the way that they are now. Your liver's not going to function the way you are now. When you pee, do you enjoy the stream coming out? It's healthy, it's strong like a horse.
Not hot like acid.
Wait one day when the streams don't come out like that no more, or no streams come out no more, and you have to see a urologist. Catheters, bladder issues. Oh, it's not pretty.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's not
And
pretty.
I've seen that firsthand because my grandfather had prostate cancer and my grandmother had lung cancer.
Yeah, and but we're humans are not convinced yet until we actually sit in the clinical room
Mhm.
and with actual patients and the doctor. And you see all this equipment in the office, and you're like, "Oh my God, holy cow!" Or you go to the dentist, right? Let me stand back here.
It's a real reality check.
Yeah, and happiness. How about happiness is not having a toothache?
Been there too.
Exactly. But that's what I mean. That's the final the one. So before graduation of this program, one has to go out and feel and see it for oneself, and that's where your heart's moved. And when your heart's moved, you will change because you see it for yourself. Ehipasiko, which is the Buddha invites everyone. Come and see for yourself. Do not take it based on blind faith. And that's why, he's made his teaching so easy. I don't have to try. I don't have to be a try hard for
Mhm.
his teachings. Come and see for yourself. There's the proof. Are you moved by it? Oh, great.
When do you go and do that? And I don't know about this whole medical thing that you keep talking about. Like, because I thought you were in court systems.
I serve both law and medicine.
I didn't know the medicine.
All areas of medicine, all areas of law. So
So where do you go?
so every other offices. Hold on. Let me obviously.
I mean, let's set something up. I'll make time.
Can you read that out loud? Obviously, you did not read my bio. Read it.
Ji Dao is a 35-year-old Vietnamese Theravada Buddhist monk currently residing in Florida, USA. He studied 4 years of counseling psychology, human development at Eckerd College, Florida. He was a legal and medical interpreter serving all areas of medicine and law within Florida's judicial court system more than 15 years. In 2015, he hit rock bottom, leading a suicidal path after the death of his grandmother and best friend Jacob Hall. He hopes to mitigate teen suicide and increase student resiliency across the world through his Rapid Realization program, which incorporates cognitive behavioral physiology and Buddhism. He conducts free counseling sessions with people worldwide while engaging and training other monastics in the art of Buddhist psychotherapy. He has 1.3 million followers on TikTok, 40,000 on Instagram, and a former recipient of the Florida Governor's Award for Outstanding Community Service and Youth Crime Watch. To support his life-saving programs, please visit his Linktree, Ji Dao Monk.
So I work with all doctors, most like 90% of doctors in Pinellas County. When I'm needed out there in the field. You see my contact list? That cancel. See, that's a lot of doctors. Okay. And yeah, I mean, it's no wonder. I mean, it's my job
Can
to
I spell to you?
it's my job to prove the Buddha wrong. When the Buddha says old age, death, decay, disease, birth, I'm supposed to prove him wrong. I'm the guy that runs around trying to prove the Buddha wrong. And these are the professionals that help me try to prove him wrong. When you sit with these guys, the Buddha ain't wrong. Tell you that.
Is that your dad? Not that one. This one? Who's that? She got the same last name.
Secret admirer.
Mm.
Also known as 008. Mind
It's still
you,
going.
you don't understand this family is filled with lawyers and doctors, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot. I'm the only holy man in this family. Most of them are professors, doctor, lawyer, dentists, oncologists, and stuff like that. So
That's a good teaching subject right there.
let me what?
Your story. I mean, just a few words.
Here's all the attorneys that I work with.
Just a few words that you said right there. I mean, my whole family is lawyers, doctors, and you're you. And for all the youth that are out there that have strict parents, I've known people with, foreign parents that are very strict, and they almost tell their children, this is what you're going to do. I will make sure you get there, but this is what you're going to do. And I've been very close to those people, and they hate their parents. They are forced to do school, go to college straight out of high school, do extracurriculars, do sports, and are still tracked by their parents at 21, 22 years old, still have times when they must come home by. And they're basically they're grown adults at this point, but they're still treated like children and accept that treatment, but it brings them anger. And that's a good teaching thing, because that's an example of that. You don't have to be what your parents and family try to push you and suffocate you to be. You know who you are. You know what you want to do, even if you don't know what you want to do. If you go into something that is forced on you, you're not going to like it. You're not going to excel. You can do whatever you want. And if that has to go against your family and you need to separate from them, that's okay. If that makes you happy and you're doing what you want to do. And a lot of the times, these kids that I've seen, that I've been around, that have very successful parents, foreign parents, strict, they don't want to go and do their own thing. They don't want to think for themselves and do what they want for themselves. And I've sat down with these people, and like you said, how certain tones and mannerisms, only certain people. And I would sit down with them and look at them and be like, whose life are you living? Who's going to be paying your bills? Who's going to be with you in 10 years? Not your parents. And I get you want to make them proud. You want to make them happy. But they have to understand too, and come to the realization too, that you're not them. But they're so scared to leave because they've been given everything by them. Their car, their education, all of their clothes, all of their furniture, everywhere they've lived, all of their food, everything they've gotten. And they know if they go against them, cut off.
That's right.
And they won't. And they continue to destroy themselves. But I think that's a good time to wrap up. It's almost 1:00. I know you're tired.
I'm not. I'm actually going to go out and